I used to think the most dangerous person was the one who once killed me. But I was wrong. The one truly terrifying is the one who knows every step I'm about to take. In this world, you can run from darkness, but how do you escape a script that's already been rewritten? The hallway behind the sports field always felt detached like a hairline crack on the polished face of Westbrook High. The yellowed tiles were mottled with mold near the baseboards. The ashen ceiling swallowed up the hurried footsteps of passing students. This was where Kira used to slip through in silence, avoiding eyes, whispers, and even her own reflection. And today, in that very hallway, I saw Emily. She walked close to the wall, clutching the strap of her canvas bag like she feared it might disappear if she let go. Every step was small, quick, cautious. When she caught a glimpse of me, she froze, pure reflex. Her neck shrank inward, eyes darting away, then stealing a glance back at me. Those eyes reddened at the corners, not from lack of sleep, but something deeper. Fear, strain, perhaps both. I slowed down. My rubber soles squeaked softly on the old cement floor. A breeze drifted in from the sports field through a cracked door, carrying the scent of fresh grass and dried sweat, the scent of memories I never wanted to recall. Emily turned to leave in haste, but I spoke. "Is something wrong?" She flinched, truly flinched, as if she hadn't expected me to speak first. "No, nothing," Emily stammered, her words tumbling out too fast, swallowing the final syllable. Her head shook slightly, not to deny, but to brace herself. I looked at her. Eyes don't lie. Lips pressed tight, jaw clenched ever so slightly, as if holding something back in her throat. A confession, a cry for help, or a plea she couldn't admit she needed. I had seen eyes like that before. Not in a photo, not in a diary, but in the mirror. Every time Kira looked at herself, dark circles under her eyes, messy hair, bruises on her arms. That look was there, a flicker of fear, barely masked by a thin veil of fake courage. And now, I saw that same look in Emily. It wasn't coincidence. It couldn't be. The clinking of spoons against metal trays echoed in the crowded cafeteria, but it felt muffled under the weight of the tension in the air. Noah and I sat at a table near the window, where the midday sun pierced the frosted glass, casting patchy halos of light on the scratched plastic surface. Around us, students whispered in low voices. None dared come close, not out of fear, but suspicion. I placed a small voice recorder on the table, black, with a chipped corner and a scratched surface, like it had collided with something important. "Noah," I began without looking at him. "If you were Grace, and you had detailed data about my past life, what would you do?" He sat there, slowly turning his cup of tasteless water in his hands, his eyes following the light beam gliding across the table like an invisible laser. He didn't answer right away. Noah was never one to speak in haste, and I'd learned to be patient around him. A soft breeze crept through the slightly open window, rustling sandwich wrappers and carrying the stale scent of cafeteria food. His face caught the light, half bright, half shadowed, just like his silence. Then he looked at me. "You're setting a trap," he said, not a question, a statement. I nodded. My eyes stayed on the recorder. "Grace is recreating the script," I said, my voice low and steady, like reciting a forbidden text. "Every detail, every old wound. She's copying the way Kira was pushed to the edge, replaying the tragedy. But this time," I looked up, my eyes meeting Noah's, a look that needed no words. "This time, I won't let her rewrite history." Noah gave a slow nod. Not just agreement, but allegiance. His lips pressed into a thin line, his gaze drifting toward Grace, who was sitting with a group of students, smiling sweetly, holding a strawberry smoothie like the star of the show. He murmured, more to himself than me. "Then this time, we'll write the script before she does." The room was eerily still. No footsteps, no scribbling pens, only the ticking clock, like a countdown to something gone wrong. Emily sat in the last row, curled up as if trying to vanish into the wooden seat. Her hands trembled, fingers twisting the hem of her uniform like if she let go, she might dissolve. Grace sat beside her, uncannily calm. Her short blonde hair neatly combed, a fountain pen in hand, tapping lightly against her book's edge. Her voice a whisper. "Just tell the teacher that Celeste forced you to clean the storage room. Say she yelled at you, then just cry." The voice was soft as a breeze, sweet as melted sugar, but cold like a sugar-coated blade. Emily swallowed hard. She lifted her head slightly, just enough for the light to catch her dazed eyes. "But Celeste didn't do anything to me." Her voice was so faint it nearly didn't exist. The words weren't defiance, just truth fragile, thin, like a candle about to go out. Grace smiled, gentle, and cold as a winter lake. "You just need to describe the feeling. People will believe you." Emily didn't reply. Her shoulders quivered. Her hand, now limp, tightened again. I stood behind the classroom doorsilant, fingers gripping my sleeve, ears tuned to every whisper, every scheme laced in that sugary tone. In my coat pocket, the recorder was running. And this to me no one could deny a thing. Emily texted, "Can you help me clean the back storage tomorrow? I'm scared to be there alone." I stared at the message, then at the recorder. The game had begun. Next morning, in sports equipment shed. I arrived early. The room was dim, reeking of damp wood and dried sweat. I placed the recorder high on a shelf, aimed directly at the door. Then I stood in the center, holding an old sports gear box. I wasn't shaking, but my heart was beating like a war drum. Emily arrived later, eyes still puffy, steps hesitant like a leaf lost in a storm. She looked at me, about to speak, but I shook my head, just slightly. She understood, and stayed silent. Moments later, exactly on curished footsteps echoed in. Grace appeared, uniform pristine, expression perfectly worried. Behind her came 3 students and our literature teacher, Ms. Lawrence, who was known to trust good intentions more than evidence. "Celeste yelled at me. She called me a leech," Emily cried, tears streaming just like the script Grace wrote for her. Her voice trembled, tears spilled so real, I almost believed her. So real. My own throat tightened. Grace embraced her, eyes flaring with righteous anger, textbook performance. "I can't believe this is happening again." I stood still, then slowly turned. "I can't believe it either, but you know what, Grace?" I pulled down the recorder from above. My hand was ice cold, not from the weather, but from the one fear I had. What if it didn't capture anything? I hit play. The audio came through clear as a blade. "Just tell the teacher that Celeste forced you to clean the storage room. Say she yelled at you." Grace's voice. Unmistakable, cold, calculated. Miss Lawrence froze, her eyes twitched. One student covered their mouth. Emily was stunned, staring at me in disbelief. And Grace didn't deny it. She looked at me, her pale blue eyes no longer pretending. Now they were bare, forged in steel across lifetimes. Then she smiled. Just one smile, but it sent a chill down my spine. "You think just because you came back, you can break everything?" I clenched my fists. That line wasn't from someone cornered. It was from someone who had been standing for a long time on a map I had only just begun to glimpse. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because in that moment, I knew. Grace knew. Not just about my past life. She might even know the future. And the enemy I faced wasn't just rewriting the story. She had already read it. I sat on my bed, Kira's diary open. The last page still bore the same line. "I wish someone would see the truth." I had done that, but Grace didn't crumble. She knew too much. Knew exactly what I'd do. Knew precisely when. And I began to realize Grace hadn't reincarnated. But she had the data. She was rewriting my story, step by step based on a downloaded memory of Kira. a twisted accusation, a recording that shattered the silence, and a smile that sent chills down my spine. I thought exposing Grace would be the ending, but it wasn't. It was just the first question mark, pointing to something far bigger than her. Grace isn't reborn. She has the data. Not a memory, but access. Access to a story she's already seen. And I'm beginning to realize, this is no longer a battle between two girls.